There's a saying that, like, in the real estate world, that you don't hang out with other realtors because they don't bring you business.
Right.
They do. They do
Yeah.
bring you business.
They're your colleagues.
Yep.
They're not your competitors. And there's enough for everybody to go around. When we're in negotiations with the other realtor, it isn't our money. It isn't our house.
Yeah.
We're there to bring the parties together to make a decision where the sellers win, the buyers win. We're here to get it closed for our parties because they want to sell a product. They want to buy a product. Don't let our own egos of I'm going to win this negotiation cost that.
Welcome to the house next door.
With Barbara Gillio,
And Anthony Harris.
where real estate meets reality.
Welcome back.
Welcome
to the
back.
house next door.
Where real estate meets reality
So this week's episode,
is going to be about something kind of important that we never talk about. Well, I mean, I don't say that we never talk about it, but it's something that isn't discussed enough, I think, and that's getting along with other agents. That's a huge part of being a realtor.
I think a big part of our business is relationships.
It
That's
is.
with clients, buyers, sellers, realtors,
Title
attorneys,
reps.
title
Yeah.
companies, like builders,
Lenders.
It's all of it. Yeah.
It's all relationships. And we focus so
you
much.
can't burn bridges.
You can't burn bridges. I have
Smothering.
burned a few. But you learn. You learn.
I try not to, but sometimes I tell people how it is.
Sometimes, yeah,
It just comes
exactly. And I think it's just something that's not discussed amongst, realtor culture very much in terms of, people think about what's important. Oh, trying to get your lead source and feed your database and take care of your clients.
Some of my best clients come from referrals from other agents outside of the market that I know.
That's great.
And I think there's value to there's a saying that, like, in the real estate world, that you don't hang out with other realtors because they don't bring you business.
Right.
They do. They do
Yeah.
bring you business.
They do, absolutely. And they're your colleagues.
Yep.
They're not your competitors.
Yeah.
And
And there's enough business for
there's
everybody.
enough.
There's
exactly.
way more than enough.
And I see, collaboration. I like to collaborate with other realtors rather than be competitive with them. But I know there's a lot of realtors who are competitive and that's what fuels them. But for me, it's all about the collaboration.
I think there could be a balance too. So was it last week when I went to Tom Ferry?
Yeah, you went to Tom Ferry. I was so jealous.
It was really good. Apparently next year it's going to be in California.
I'm going to try to make it.
Yeah,
I need to make it.
It was 3 days of long. It was long, but
Yeah.
there was so much information. One of the big takeaways, though, was his big preaching was economics over ego, and he talked about the importance of letting your ego go.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Right there. The
And-
importance of letting your go. Economics.
over ego.
Wow, that's
it's-
pretty powerful.
Because at the end of the day, as realtors, we have a buyer or a seller, and we have another, like the other agent has a buyer or seller, here to make a transaction work. We're not here to, like, toot our horns, or we're here to sell houses.
And I've always learned, like one of my early on mentors said, remember this, Barbara, not your money. It's not your decision. You're there to facilitate the transaction to make sure that all parties are getting, your party is getting what they need. You're there to bring the parties together. You're not there to make the decision. It's not your money. Don't act like it is.
I always tell my clients, especially multiple offers, I say, this is what the comps show. This is my suggestion. If you love this house, you can afford this house.
Yeah.
It's not my money. You're the one making the decision.
Not my money, not my decision. I'm here to facilitate.
Yep. And
And
I
negotiate.
leave it up to them, because
Yeah.
it's not, I'm not buying it. I'm not writing that check.
Well, and when we're in negotiations with the other realtor,
Yeah.
we're there to bring the parties together to make a decision where the sellers win, the buyers win. We're here to get it closed
Yeah.
for our parties because they want to sell a product. They want to buy a product. Don't let our own egos of I'm going to win this negotiation cost that
And
for our
we
seller
all
or
know
buyer.
there's agents out there
Oh, yeah.
they will fight like nail and tooth to
Yeah.
every penny, even though their client could care less.
Exactly. They know what their bottom line is, but it's about the ego to get this number and to win. And then you're playing like it's your money in your decision,
Yep.
and you're costing a transaction for your client.
And you're kind of ruining relationship on all
Yeah.
ends. You're ruining it with that realtor on the other side. You're ruining it with your buyer. Even
Yeah.
though your buyer still sticks to you, you're ruining it. I have a poor buyer that I've helped buy and sell a few homes, and I feel like every time we get in a transaction, we get the crazy nut seller.
Yeah.
The agents have been good, but
Okay.
it's the ego of the buyer and the sellers.
Oh,
They have the
see,
same problem.
and that's where we are supposed to come in and calm everybody down.
Well, with one of theirs, the buyer got mad at the realtor and wouldn't talk to the realtor and ghosted them
Well,
in
that
the middle
does
of the
happen.
transaction. So then the lender became the realtor.
Oh my gosh.
But we still had that in-between person.
Yeah.
And they were,
Yeah.
it was...
If we don't talk about it, we don't talk about, when I have friends that say, hey, I want to get into real estate. It looks fun. I love showing houses. I'm
Let me
like,
tell you the other stuff.
yeah, and I'm like, showing houses is a part of it.
If we can get the door open.
If we can get the door open.
And that's another episode.
That's another episode. But there's this other part of it. There's this dynamics of being a diplomat, being a peacemaker, and also having your ego completely shredded at times and having to suck it up for somebody else, for your client who you have a fiduciary to. And there are people that ask me about being a realtor where I'm like, oh, I don't know that you can do that. I mean,
You
it's a
have to have
learned
skin.
skill.
Yeah.
But and most people, they can. But there are some personalities where it's
There's
tough.
people that I don't think can
Yeah.
be effective and a great realtor.
Yeah. It's just one of those things we don't get taught. That's something we learn out in the
So in real
field.
estate school, you never took personalities 101? I did it.
I feel like that would be a good subject in real estate school
Yeah, but let's be
like-
honest. All real estate school
is
taught us how to write a contract. That's all we use from there.
It's kind of like bartending school, I feel like. Like you learn how to measure with like food coloring, but then you go behind the bar and you're like, oh, make a drink. And that's kind of
Your whole bar is drunk because you put too much in.
It's so very important that we play nice in the sandbox.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean that we're pushovers. We got to throw an elbow here and there, but there's ways to do it effectively. Yeah, where you don't let somebody steamroll you, but you also don't let your ego take center stage to the transaction, because then you're not serving your clients well.
And I think we both could name agents that
Oh,
have
yeah.
a big ego.
Oh, I
And
have a list. I have an actual list.
I remember you telling me that if there's a listing agent of a certain person, you would have another agent go open up the lockbox.
Yeah, I do. And
Guilty as charged.
guilty as charged. Like I have certain agents where, and I'm not proud of this, that I have to
but-
call and be like, could you pop the lock on this? Because I can't let that agent see that I'm showing their house.
So I have one, and I have one that's a whole team. I think I've made every single agent on the team mad. And
Right.
not that I don't know if it's to the point of if I brought them another offer, it
Right.
would do anything. But it wasn't my ego. It was what my clients wanted. Like both of them backed out,
Yeah.
and but one of them was the ego of the other agent. We were under contract, and the first day, so we went under contract at like 5 p.m. the night before. That morning, my client called the city because he wanted to find out what he could do with this piece of property. It was land. The city told him that the current owner has been trying to build a home on it, but they've stopped construction because the city will not allow that. The city won't allow anything there.
Oh.
It was never disclosed to us. We had a large option period that we bought. It was like 30 or 45 days. And so I told my client, because he called me, he's like, we need to terminate. I was like, well, I'm going to try to get you some money back from your
Option period because it was doomed to begin with.
Yeah.
You could never
I was
do
like,
anything.
and he was fine losing y'all, obviously, because he put that down as option.
Yeah, but it's frustrating when
They know about
the
it.
other party knew and chose not to disclose. It's almost like they're collecting option
money.
fees,
Yeah.
which is
And
unethical.
I told the other agent, I said, hey, we know that your seller knew about this, and we think it's fair if you just split the option period with us. She's like, well, that's not what the contract says. The contract says that. And I was like, okay, well, get with your seller and let me know. And she got back to me. She said, nope, they're not doing it. I said, okay, well, we have 45.
So you just waited them out.
And it's on the market under contract. And
So nobody else is making.
I'm not proud of that, but
Yeah.
and that might have been my ego too.
And that's big of you to say, to admit that. I'm guilty of that, especially early on in my career. There are some things
That's not our proudest moment.
that are not my proudest moments. Like my first 2 years in real estate, I had a learning curve, and I think most agents do, but I had one. And there was this agent. She was it was a difficult transaction. It was really a tough one. I was getting all really hard transactions early on. The
I'm
inspection
still getting hard
I know,
transactions.
wait, I think that I just got used to it.
Now it's just
right?
relapping.
Now I just got used to it. But this
Now we
one,
have a podcast talking about it.
yeah, this house was a nightmare, and it had a long, like I think the inspection report was something like 40 pages of things that were called out, which is a lot. And it was only my third inspection report I had ever seen. And this agent and I were getting along so well. We were doing everything right. We were just doing our best for each of our clients and then collaborating together to figure out how can we make this work. And then somehow we got sideways. It was so long ago, I don't quite remember the exact thing. But we got sideways and my ego got flared. Like I didn't even know I had that big of an ego. And
Did you note in that moment
no,
or after the fact?
it was after the fact, after I said something I really regret, something about we had some technical difficulties when I was going to say something.
I feel like we have technical difficulties every time we.
The computer was so mad at me, didn't want to hear what I was going to say, just turned off on me.
Well, your husband did tell us to plug it in.
He did tell
We
us
didn't listen.
and we didn't listen.
Here we are.
So where we were a second
We
ago
think.
was I didn't realize I had this ego flare when this agent and I got sideways. And all of a sudden it became all about me and I made it very personal. And I forgot that that is not how this is supposed to go. And so I said mean things, like just not mean things, but I cursed. I said,
You don't have to say the word.
well, should I just say it? We'll bleep it out. We'll have to bleep it out because it's swear words. I said, you should just get in your. That's what I said. And then she's like, oh, really? Should I now? Because she's a seasoned agent and I was new. And she's like, you were such a delight to work with until now. She's like, wow, that I haven't had somebody tell me that. And so I was just so mad. I ended up hanging up. She hung up. It was all this whatever. And then I just sat in my bedroom. What did I just do? What did I just do? And I called my mentor.
Probably
And-
should have called your broker.
My mentor was way better. This is the same mentor who smoked that joint that time that was supposed to help me with the
So
open
wish
up.
she had you.
She's a great mentor. And she's
Yeah,
like,
because she's calm and collected.
she was. She's like, okay, I've done that before. And I've had somebody do that to me before. She's like, it happens. But she was real. She's like, this is your ego. You got your ego involved. This isn't about you, Barb. You're in the wrong. This is about your clients.
Did you apologize?
She said, your number one thing you need to do right now is pick up that phone and apologize. And
Did
you
you?
tell her you were out of line.
Did you
And
do it?
yeah, I did. And it was a hard conversation to have, but I realized I was so wrong. And I let my emotions and my ego and myself take over a very hard transaction. And my clients were relying on me not to do that. And so I called her back and I apologized. And I was just really honest. I said, hey, that was my ego. That was almost, my inexperience. And it has nothing to do with you. That is all on me. And I am so sorry. And she
How
was
did she
like,
take it?
thank you so much. She's like, I've actually done that too. It's like,
I
yeah.
don't think I've ever blown up. I'll complain to my friends about
Yeah.
someone and I'll hang up and start yelling or I'll type a text message and delete it. But I don't think I've ever, but not
Yeah.
yet. I've had plenty of times when I wanted to. I say very factual things whenever I get.
Yeah.
I had one not too long ago, and thank God I have a great transaction coordinator.
Oh, you do. I used to have Anthony's transaction coordinator, but then I left my brokerage and she couldn't come with me. So I got another one. And then I came back to the brokerage where Anthony is and I could get her back, but then I had fallen in love with my new transaction coordinator. So my transaction coordinator is my lifeline. So
Mine is too.
Yeah.
And she has her broker's license, and so
she
she's-
knows her stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so she can put agents into line.
Yeah.
When they don't see eye to eye.
Oh, yes, she can. I have seen it first.
She texted me yesterday or a couple of days ago, and she's like, "This agent doesn't know what they're doing. Do you want me to do it the right way?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, and at the end of the day, it doesn't change the outcome. But we have a strict compliance
Yes,
department
we do.
that wants to make sure that we're following everything correctly.
Yes.
And so I was like,
Yeah.
compliance is going to send it back to us, so let's just do it. And
Do it correct the first
that's
time.
where I let my ego. I was like,
And I had a few other times where I butted heads with realtors. Like I've had to, in fact, in the year 2023, I remember calling my sales manager and saying, you know what my issue is? My issue has nothing to do with how hard the market is. The market's hard. My buyers are struggling. My sellers are struggling. We're overcoming those obstacles. We're getting things closed. We're finding properties. We're being able to negotiate. Those are what I consider the hardest obstacles. And I just was so tired of other realtors. Guys, I can't, if I have to deal with another a-hole realtor, I'm going to lose it. And I was like, it's just like everybody has lost their darn mind. When the market's easy, everybody's just like trucking
Easy go.
along, getting along.
Yeah, you know, I talked to my mom about that. Is whenever the market gets hard, people get ugly.
They get ugly.
They get very ugly. I guess out of desperation. That's their next paycheck, which I understand
Right.
completely. But also, if you do right by your clients, they'll do you right. Like,
Well,
it's-
and I think a lot of people don't have a lot of experience in having hard conversations in diplomatic ways. They just, when real estate was easy,
Was it
you're
ever?
you're writing contracts, you're really not negotiating too much. Okay, this is what we got to do to get this house. There's not a whole lot of going in between and trying to negotiate on both sides. When markets get hard, you got to start thinking outside the box. You have to start communicating more with the other agent, and you've got to have harder conversations where somebody might give you some attitude, and then you've got to kind of figure out how to navigate that. And you want to try to keep this transaction together and everybody happy. But there's some agents that just don't have a lot of experience with those intrapersonal skills. And it's the ego again, like I didn't in the beginning.
And then I feel,
have
but
that
I feel like some
experience.
of the top producers also have an ego problem. You might have got them top dollar or bottom dollar if you're buyer or seller, but I don't think you made everybody mad at you in the process.
For me, I'm more just the other realtor. That's where I'm more like focused is how do we get through this transaction? Because you're getting in the way of it. You, Mr. Buyer's agent, are seriously getting in the way of this transaction. And I know your seller or buyer or whatever doesn't know this.
Mhm.
And I've got to somehow try to keep
Keep
this
cordial and
keep
still
this-
get
yeah,
get
exactly,
past the
with-
finish line.
exactly without compromising anything that my client has to give, or within reason. When we have to compromise, not saying my ego's now in the way.
My ego's fine. There.
And you don't tell your clients any of this,
Oh, yeah.
right? This is behind closed
Yeah.
doors. It's so crazy. I see some agents that are copying and pasting conversations
Oh, I had one that
that they should not be doing.
screenshotted my conversation, and not that I say anything that's bad,
Right.
but I don't think that's in your best interest.
No.
You should paraphrase and get the
Yes.
point across how you know your clients. I don't know your clients. Different
Exactly.
clients act a different way.
People don't necessarily need feedback that's verbatim.
Yeah.
They need it a different way, or letting another agent know letting your client know how hard it is on the other side.
Mhm.
And I have made this mistake with some clients. I made this mistake more than once with some clients.
But I feel like sometimes I tell my clients that the other side's being challenging.
Yeah.
And I know what to share and what not to share.
There's ways that you share it, because sometimes
You have to.
You have
because
to.
It's like, this is the
Yeah.
situation that we're in. This is really the only way that we can overcome it, is
Right.
we have to give into this to get this.
or you have to see the full picture to understand how we have to negotiate a slightly different way. And I guess I'm more talking about the stuff where it isn't necessary. It's totally the unnecessary
That's the-
BS that nobody needs to know that the other agent is just doing to you, just to do to you, to intimidate you, or for whatever reason. And that's the stuff we don't need to share.
Yeah.
And I generally never share that ever, because I don't want
Because
my
it doesn't make
clients
a
to be
difference.
stressed out, and it doesn't make a difference. My mother right now, she has a realtor who does this. She tells her
And by the way, her realtor's in a different state.
yeah, she's not here. Otherwise, she used me here. But she's just, my mom it's a wreck. And I'm like, what's going on? And she tells me like this go-between that her realtor shares with her about what's going on behind the scenes. I'm like, Mom, none of that is even necessary for you to know. I said, that's just two realtors and their egos basically, knocking. This has nothing to do with you or your transaction.
Economics over egos.
Economics over egos. Because I'm like, my mom is never going to use this. Well, obviously she lives here now, so she's only going to use me. But for California, they still have property in California.
Yeah.
They will never use her again, because it's been such a miserable experience, because they've been on this roller coaster
Mhm.
with her just sharing stuff that is totally irrelevant. It just, I can't say enough how important it is that we all try to get along and we try to be fair to each party, but we also try to be fair in our communications with the other agent. We're not returning calls, and we're not this, that,
There's
the other.
sometimes-
We have a fiduciary to communicate. Sometimes we don't have to. Sometimes
might have to open a bottle of wine first and then call tomorrow.
there has been some instances where I've said, okay, that's it. We're not going to have any phone conversations anymore.
Oh yeah. Yep.
We're just doing full email, and I'll copy my sales manager on it
I was gonna say.
because we need to keep track of this. Because I've had a couple agents where they just want to get you on the phone.
By the way, we have the best sales manager
We do.
because she
Amanda
will
is
help.
amazing.
Yes.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
And really, shout out to Realty Austin Compass. They take such good care of us.
Yeah, and I had a problem and it might have been a little bit of my ego, but honestly, it was fueled by the other agent's ego.
Yeah.
It was very fueled, and things were transpired that shouldn't have been or shouldn't have happened. But she stepped in.
You get a good broker who can step in and kind of, just help mediate and have your back. And also, if you're wrong, help you to understand
Coach you.
where you need to take some accountability.
Cussing out another agent.
Yeah.
Really?
But it's a process of learning how to interact with one another. And back to 2023, when I was telling it was not Amanda, was not my sales manager. I was at a different brokerage. And he was a great sales manager, and he really did give me good advice. He was saying, hey, if it's too much for you right now, do what you got to do. Do everything through email, and just don't let all the emotion start getting on you, because you're holding emotion for your clients. You're holding all the stress for them, protecting them from this. But if you don't have somewhere to let that go, it's going to start wearing on you. And then that's where we have our ego flares, or we get burned out and don't want to do real estate anymore. So that was really good advice. He said, so it's okay. If you don't want to talk to this agent, just do email. Take the emotion out of it. And they hate it. And when I started to do that, this particular agent who was very emotional and in all caps would email, well, since this agent won't talk to me on the phone. And I'm like, well, there's no
Somebody's
reason. We're under contract. We're taking care of everything that's necessary through email, but I'm not engaging in this cat and mouse game. We're not Bravo TV. We're not selling Sunset. We're really boring realtors who are facilitating a transaction, for heaven's sakes. Come on. Get your crap together. Go play that out on your girlfriends or whatever. I don't know.
Therapist.
Your therapist.
Wine bottles.
Not me.
Well, and then I don't know if you do this, but I'm full of some emotion, but I know when to share and when not to.
Yeah.
And so I'll go and I'll do a new text message, and I won't put a to number, and I'll type up, and same with email. I'll type up this text message or type up this email. I'll let it sit there. I'll
Good for
ponder
you.
on it. Then I copy and paste it, put it into ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Make it nicer.
Yes. And I was like, this is what I want. And then it spit something out. I'm like, okay, that's still a little harsh. I'll come back to it tomorrow.
What do you do back? You go, ChatGPT revised to be less harsh.
So I put ChatGPT, make this nicer. And like, I had one the other day where we lowballed them. And so I've typed into chat, can you tell the agent that we feel like this is the value and we do not want to insult the seller? Because that's the number one thing when you get a low ball offer, the seller's like, I'm insulted.
Right.
Whatever that means. Ego. And so it spit out this lovely email.
Oh.
Because
Yay.
I wanted it to combat what I knew would come from it. At another brokerage I worked at, our sales meetings were all ego. There was a couple people in particular that had high egos, and they felt like they were right over the other egos.
So this was just like their chance to brag.
Just let it out. These sales meetings were an hour and a half of nothing. People fighting.
There was no value there.
Yep.
That's those sales meetings can be like that.
Yeah, but not ours.
No.
Ours is like
It's all chunk full of like feedback and collaboration and
market updates. every
market
week,
updates and hey, how are your open houses? How are my open houses?
seeing
Just
traffic.
trying to be able to get some sort of feedback so we can all figure out how to navigate this market better for our clients. And I love being in a brokerage that does that. So
And we talked about Tom Ferry with the economics over
Yeah.
ego. A big part of the conference as well was talking about how to navigate this market. It's people, the famous thing is it's the market. The market sucks. I can't make money because of the market. There's people at our brokerage that have done $40 million in sales this year. It's not the
absolutely.
market.
They pivoted.
Yeah.
They got creative.
And yes, the market's not great, but they're still buying and selling. There's still
absolutely.
people buying and selling.
There will always be people who are buying and selling.
And
Always.
it's pivoting and really understanding how to change your business
Your mindset and not being afraid of change and not being afraid.
and being proactive, not reactive.
Yeah. And I think that's the struggle right now out there and why we're seeing some of these hard interactions with other agents who they're worried, they're afraid, they're stressed, they're not very experienced in some of this stuff, or they are adapting to change and they're doing great and they just have that moment where the emotion gets over them and it's
I hear the dogs licking.
so my huge dogs are laying on the floor and they are licking their huge paws.
And all in my ears, I hear the dog licking.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up, guys, on that because I think my dogs need to go outside.
You remember, like, comment, share,
Yes,
all that
share,
good stuff.
subscribe, all those good
subscribe.
things. Yes. Until next time.
See you next week. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yes, so please like, subscribe, comment,
Share,
follow.
whatever it might be.
Until next time.